Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Downsized Live. Today is Wednesday, June 4th.
You sure about that?
There's a calendar. There's a calendar right there, so I know exactly. It's 7:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome.
The world's downsized headquarters.
It's like Doofenshmirtz Incorporated.
Doofenshmirtz Incorporated.
Anyway.
JoJo's coming in. JoJo might make an appearance.
Yep.
So
Hey,
welcome. Thank you for joining us for the Downsized Live. My name's Lorraine Durham.
Christopher Durham.
We've been married 22 years, and about a little over a year ago, we started a YouTube channel to tell people about our GLP-1 weight loss. So it's called The Downsized. We hope you will like and subscribe to our channel. Well, I'm just, in case somebody's new here, in case someone is new, you got me all, I had a whole train of thought I was going to say. We're not doctors. This is not medical advice. This is just our experiences. This is our cat, JoJo Cornelius. She likes to bite me if I'm not paying attention to her, so don't mind her. We're not doctors.
We're also not lawyers, which is a
advice.
good statement in this conversation.
We're not attorneys, although I used to be married to an attorney.
How'd that work out for you?
That did not work out, and here we are now, married 22 years. But anyway,
I called him the training wheels.
Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. Okay, so all right, so we have a special guest. Do we want to introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. So I was working on a news script, as I often do, about a lot of the happenings over the last few days. And if you guys are familiar with the attorney Lee Fitzen, he had broke this story about Nevada and all sorts of interesting things. And then I thought, well, Lee and I have chatted. Why don't I invite him on to come on? So lo and behold, I sent Lee a note. And Lee said, sure, I'll come on your channel.
Welcome, Lee.
So, Lee, tell us about you personally first.
Oh, sure. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. A longtime fan, first-time guest. So about me personally, I live out in Seattle, and I am a workers' comp trial attorney, which is a little unique. Not a lot of states' workers' comp cases can get a jury trial. But we do out here. So other attorneys bring me in to do their trial work. So I'm kind of bouncing around the state, talking to jurors and putting on a case. And I found that the TikTok is a really nice way, and YouTube, although I don't do great at posting over here. I do have a channel here, but if TikTok ever goes away, I'll come here because I don't really, Instagram's its own thing. But yeah, anyway, so what I do for work is talk to jurors and educate people who don't know anything about what's going on with whatever it is I'm talking about. And I have to get them up to speed really quickly, but also get them to kind of agree with what I'm saying, all within very short periods of time. And so I found talking about legal issues on TikTok to really be helpful in working on that skill. And people, it resonates with folks, or they seem to appreciate sort of me being able to explain things in a way that's a little easier to understand. Most people think about talking to lawyers, and it can be overwhelming and a lot of legal language, and it's just too much to digest. So figuring out the essence of things. And so I've been doing that since really I started doing the legal stuff when the shortage came out, the shortage list, and the lawsuits got filed last fall. So, and in fact, we do have the Semaglutide case coming up here probably next week. We'll get the final ruling on that one, which we could talk about a little later. So anyway, yeah, I've got cats. I've got two over here. One is my neighbor's cat, but he likes our food better.
Oh,
So he hangs out here. His name's Harry Styles. And then
nice.
Marty might come over. He's a 1-year-old Siamese. He's also polydactyl, so he's got these funny little paws that are like that. Mm-hmm. And then Ned, my kids named my cats. So Ned, he's a big bowling ball of a cat. And then I got a couple dogs, a big German Shepherd and a Shiba Inu, if you ever heard of a Shiba Inu. They're funny little Japanese kind of pointy-eared dogs, very cute with the curly tail. And yeah, been married. Now, I haven't been married. Wait, how long are you guys?
22 years.
Wait, that's weird. Our 22nd anniversary is this summer. Married my high school sweetheart. So yeah, we've been going out since 1997. So there you go.
That's a long time.
Yeah, we've been together a long time.
And you are a GLP-1 user as well, is that correct?
Yeah, so I started, for me, it's been off and on, mainly because of insurance coverage issues. And I did the affiliate thing for a little while, and then I wasn't making a lot of videos, so I dropped that and then was kind of bouncing around, but restarted Ozempic about 6 weeks ago. So, but on and off Ozempic user since April of 2023, but a big advocate. In 2023, I started posting a lot of videos on TikTok that there weren't a lot of guys making GLP-1 content, and a lot of my videos were getting hundreds of thousands of views. One reached 1 million, and
wow.
Good Morning America had me on, and then Oprah Winfrey, of all people, flew me out to New York City to be on her show where she was talking about the GLP-1 scene. Yeah, so that happened in 2023, and then 2024, it's just been making videos and sort of shifted, like I said, last fall to more legal stuff. So mainly the coverage and the shortage issues and the lawsuits that are flying around, covering that kind of stuff from a user's perspective, but also an attorney. So like I said, I find it interesting to talk about this stuff, to see if I can take, a 50-page lawsuit and be able to kind of break it down in a 2 or 3 minute video, which, is a bit of an art form. So anyway, there you go. That's my
GLP-1 Cliffnotes.
What's that?
It's like GLP-1 Cliffnotes.
Yes, it's the Cliffnotes. And, a lot of people, there's a lot of stuff that gets lost. I can't cover every single angle of every single thing. So it's just kind of 30,000 foot level stuff, mainly just kind of, yeah. But the one that I've most consistently covered is the shortage, the tirzepatide shortage, that litigation, the semaglutide, and then trying to figure out really what's going to happen with compounding meds. And now that the shortage is gone, and that's what broke this week, start to see the state agencies and licensing boards start to come down. And that's where the real risk is, because we can talk about the lawsuits against telehealth as part of tonight too, but those are longer. Those take forever. They're not going to shut anybody down with those lawsuits that quickly, but the licensing stuff makes me nervous.
Well, so for regular viewers who join us every week, we take questions, we do all kinds of fun stuff, and we'll take some questions in a little while, and we'll celebrate some weight loss and all that fun stuff. We wanted to there was so much going on legally that had just popped up. I wanted to invite Lee on. So Lee, you published a video, obviously, I guess yesterday, the day before, on the whole Nevada, Georgia, Ohio thing.
Yeah.
So walk us through it.
Okay, so you've obviously got pretty educated, well-educated listeners. So I'm going to assume they have familiarity with a good chunk of the history as far as how we got to this point with the shortages. The question kind of was hanging there for a long time until the judge finally ruled that he was going to kind of rubber stamp, if you will, the FDA saying that there is no shortage. And so that's going to empower Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to sue more people and try and shut them down. But those lawsuits are really about marketing and trying to use research that was done by Eli Lilly to try and funnel people towards certain telehealth. And so it's not, they are asking the judges to issue injunctions, which would halt the sale or the marketing of these meds, but those lawsuits take years. One just ended 2 weeks ago that took 2 whole years to get to the end. And so the people were worried about that, but the real risk is that these telehealth they kind of know they're going to get sued. It's kind of baked in, so it's not as big of a threat. However, the telehealth require providers to write prescriptions. They can't just make it up. This is not the gray market. You have to have a prescription, and then you have to have the pharmacies who will fill it, and those pharmacies have to be licensed in the states that they're at and where they're selling things. And then you have behind the scenes people who these providers work with, like the banks and the all the parts that go into it, like the syringes. I mean, just think about all the little things that are required to make this system work. And if any of those things get threatened, that's what could shut things down really quick. Because let's say you've got a big pharmacy that you use and their state shuts them down. I know Empower, they've gotten sued recently. I think Hollandale stopped altogether. So,
Yep.
you know, if the pharmacy that you're using goes away, that's an immediate halt in the ability to fulfill prescriptions. So and that's not going to be a lawsuit. That's going to be a state agency. So that's the real risk. And then if providers who are the vast majority that I'm aware of are nurse practitioners who work for telehealth, who do the meetings with the patients or review the records, and they're the ones who are renewing the prescriptions and sending them out. It's not usually MDs, just cost efficiency wise. And so if the nurses get threatened, that's another way that could be a big risk, like losing a pharmacy. So this week, Nevada, just on Monday, issued a letter sent to the pharmacies. Oh, wow, you're good. So at the bottom of this, I know you are. So this is, this to me, I'm not aware, and feel free, or your comments, people in the chat might know. I don't know of any of the big telehealth that use a pharmacy in Nevada specifically, so I'm not sure if it's going to be that disruptive, but it just is a real concern that if we've got a state like Nevada who kind of goes blue and red, so politically it kind of goes both ways, so it's not like a political thing. If a state like that is telling its pharmacies, not only can they not make mass productions, which is true. Now that there's no shortage, you shouldn't be making huge quantities of exact copies. But their letter here, and you can look at the bottom there, specifically says you can't compound it at all, which runs totally contrary to the FDA guidelines. But if you're a pharmacy in Nevada, this is your licensing board. They can shut you down. And the letter says stop doing it. And I've heard after my video on Monday, so many people in Nevada, their providers, sure enough, are telling them, we can't prescribe it. We are not prescribing, not personalized, not any of it. We're not doing GLP-1. They can do like liraglutide probably or something older, but semaglutide and tirzepatide, nope, it's done. Now, so that's Nevada. And then Eli Lilly in Georgia, they sent a letter to the head of the nursing board there who oversees the nurse practitioners licenses. Now, they do this all the time. So the original letter was dated back in April 1st, I think even. And of course, Eli's going to send these kind of letters around. Last week, it got to be more serious because then the pharmacy board sent an email to the nurse practitioners in Georgia basically saying, hey, you need to be careful about compounding GLP-1s. Here's the letter. And they sent the letter, essentially endorsing the letter by sending it to the providers. And that letter specifically said the things that we hear about on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram about, well, we can custom dose. We can add some B12. We can do these different things to get around or to personalize, which I do think is what they're trying to do, is personalize. And but you can't do that. Even that isn't going to work. So, that's where I don't know what the enforcement's going to be there. It wasn't on like the nursing board letterhead. It was Eli Lilly's letter.
It was the Eli Lilly letter. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the board sent it to them and attached it like, hey, just heads up. Yeah. If I'm a nurse in Georgia, how do I interpret that? Like, I think they're telling me they are in agreement with this letter because they just sent it to me. So that's scary. And then in Ohio, I haven't seen any kind of official statement or written thing. So that's why I didn't post anything like of a specific link, but just article after article. If you Google, just a Google search of Ohio shutting down med spas and pharmacies, it's a pretty clearly a coordinated step that they're taking to shut that kind of stuff down in Ohio. And so now, of course, after you post a video like that, you start hearing from everybody else. Tennessee, they're saying. North Carolina, some people are saying, has already shut it down. I don't know. Arkansas, there's some questions. Somebody said in Arkansas, they're now saying only MDs can prescribe the compounded tirzepatide and semaglutide. NPs, nurse practitioners, cannot. I haven't seen anything official. These are just the kinds of things I'm hearing.
Right.
Yeah. And then another example of the kinds of things that are happening are, even if it's not coming from an official licensing board, the hospitals who are managing care and the clinics are changing their internal policy just out of caution. And so you're seeing for example, in Seattle, there's a clinic called, now it doesn't really matter. It's a big provider in the city. They've had their nurses prescribing these compounded meds, and they were just changed their policy. That's done. So, and nobody in Washington told them to do that. But that's the kind of things that I think are going to start to happen. Is just people are going to, the only way to get it is going to be through a telehealth at this point, pretty soon, I think. And then if the telehealth pharmacies and nurses get cracked down, then that's going to be hard. So anyway, that was long.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So there's 340 people out there and only 67 likes. So let's make sure they hit the like button first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But 340, and there's some questions coming in, so we'll take some questions in a minute.
Okay.
But let me make sure I understand. So telehealth companies, and this is the analogy I'll use, are basically the Uber for medications and GLP-1s, right? So they're the software that pairs up patients with providers with the pharmacy, and they take their little cut, just like Uber does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of those providers, just like a driver on Uber, are independent contractors that are probably working out of their house. They're probably nurse practitioners.
You don't know.
We're making
they're MDs, they're nurse practitioners. They could have their own practice.
But either way, they're in all likelihood not big business. They're whoever, right? So a letter like that could pretty easily scare them.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's my concern.
I'm out. No.
If my board of regulators tells me if I prescribe these things, I'm going to lose my license, well, I'm not going to prescribe them. Like, I don't want to lose my livelihood, right? So I would say if people in Nevada are kind of just out of luck, what? I mean,
that's what I don't know. I checked with some of the telehealths that I have friends with, and they're, the ones who are saying they're nationwide are saying they haven't stopped Nevada. So I don't know. Some of the telehealth have already stopped tirzepatide and semaglutide as well. So, we're starting to see the telehealth try to navigate this. But you're right. I mean, people like to argue with me, even though I'm just the messenger. But they're like, "How is this letter even enforceable? It doesn't align with the FDA guidance on compounds." And I'm like, I get all that, but
it doesn't have to.
I guess you can do whatever they want. Yeah, like you're saying, if it scares a provider away, then it's worked.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've seen a lot of scare tactics being used, and they work. If I'm in fear of my livelihood, my business, my profession, at what point is it not worth it anymore to prescribe or to produce these medications? And I mean, I see other telehealth providers switching to other medications. Would you like to get on our list for some other medications that we will start providing now? So I think everybody's trying to pivot.
Yep.
I mean, so what's your sense? If you were making a bet, does compounding at scale continue?
I think for a while that's what everybody's really freaking out, or they're saying, they're going to go gray. I'm like, don't do that, first of all. And second of all, if the lawsuits are what you're worried about, no, don't. That's not going to, that you're fine, because everybody's getting sued, right? And I've done a lot of videos about that. I prefer like the shortage and the litigation with the FDA. That's more fun for me to talk about than telehealth, because most of my friends are affiliates with telehealth. So, but that's not really, I'm not worried about that. This has me slightly concerned. So I'm like at a yellow. I'm not at a red as far as worry. If we start to see that snowball, obviously then we're in panic mode if you're compounding. But it's going to be, this is something that I think is interesting to talk about, is sort of the FDA's discretionary, their enforcement discretion is what I'll call it. And if the FDA is just going to, because they haven't updated any of their guidance since late April. They haven't said a word since these cases since the ruling on the tirzepatide shortage, not a peep. Nor have I heard of any kind of letters. They send out warning letters and advisory letters about being cautious and making sure you're following the rules.
Right, we've seen that.
Yeah, if the FDA is going to just kind of, so how the FDA would have to work, because the FDA doesn't have an enforcement wing itself, it would need the Department of Justice to bring charges and, because to go in and shut somebody down has to require some manpower. Well, the FDA is mostly doctors and stuff. I'm not sure. I mean, they could send letters out, but if there's somebody who's violating the law, that would generally be a Department of Justice type of situation at that point. And I just don't know if there's really the willpower or the means to go after all these, because it's kind of like a whack-a-mole. I don't know how you get the genie back in the bottle, because if you shut down a 503A in Washington, well, maybe that a 503, another one pops up somewhere else, and
three more.
Over. So I don't know.
The FDA can't. I mean, the FDA doesn't have an enforcement.
There's no FDA police.
There's no FDA police. There's people in the FDA are mostly doctors, is what I heard you just said, and so the Department of Justice would have to go after whoever the FDA, like compounding pharmacies, telehealth.
Yeah, I mean the DEA, the Justice Department, those like Customs and Border Patrol, they're already trying to shut down the gray stuff. And I think that's probably where they're mostly, if they're going to focus on anything, I would rather they focus on that anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't see the FDA, maybe, and I could be wrong. This is all new to most of us, unless you guys can think of a time where there's been a medication like this that just exploded so much and could so easily be compounded. No, I just can't think that there's ever been a scenario like this.
Well, I mean, it begs the question of, obviously all of this regulation was written pre-GLP, so no one anticipated that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, have you heard any whispers about some of these regulations being reworked and kind of writing a newer version that takes all this into account?
Well, an interesting point, because I have looked into the history of this, right? The compounding's been around forever. Right. The reason that we got all these new systems set up happened in 2013. If you go back and you look at a lot of these regulations, the 503As, the 503Bs, that whole setup was in 2013 got reworked because of I think it was like 60 or more deaths associated with compounded.
Yeah, there was some big deals. Yeah, you can look. It's all over Google.
Yeah, huge issue. And so they said, well, we need to regulate these compounders more. And they came up with this system, but in no way were we talking the scale of a GLP-1.
Right.
And GLP-1s aren't particularly dangerous. Like I think it was steroids or something like that.
Well, I think some of those, they were doing injectables and they were tainted. They had other things in the mix. So.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I'm not hearing anything at the federal level. I think that's why the states are what I'm concerned about, because they control the licenses. I mean, you have to there's registration you have to have with the FDA, and providers have to be compliant with those rules. But every state has their own licensing boards and pharmacy boards, and so that they're the ones who are also potentially easier to get to from a lobbying perspective. The money involved from Eli Lilly is a lot. So, for example, in Georgia, the nurse board director is hired by Raffensperger. How do you say his name?
That sounds good. I don't know. I think you're right.
Secretary of State for Georgia. So if the lobbyists the money gets to him, and he puts pressure on his nurse board or pharmacy board, that's how it's going to happen at a state level, and they can shut things down. So you're going to see I'm sure it's already happening. What we see by the time it gets to the point where me or you are talking about it, there's a million things that are happening that we aren't seeing and that are coming down the road. So we're reacting as best we can, but I'm sure the power players are already, the wheels are spinning to get the elected officials to crack down on these compounds. So I could definitely see state level changes being proposed, and to change the way that GLP-1s maybe specifically or compounding in general is done. But I haven't seen the biggest thing that I think we've all seen the executive order on pharmaceuticals from Trump, and that leads me to think about this enforcement discretion. That's why I thought it'd be good to bring that up, because if he's trying to leverage everything he has to bring down pharmaceutical costs, one of the leverage points he has is to not enforce compounding laws because of price gouging from Eli Lilly. So if he just says, hey, FDA, we're going to let the compounding run because they're not bringing the prices down the way we want, he can do that. And that could certainly be something that we're seeing. You're not going to see a written policy put out. You're just going to see the FDA not doing anything. And so currently that's kind of where we're at. And maybe that's how it rolls. So
the challenge of all that most favored nation piece is it is pinning pricing off of other countries' pricing. And there's nothing to say that Lilly or Novo couldn't just raise their prices everywhere else.
Yeah.
Nobody gets lower prices.
Yeah. Well, I would assume exactly. It wouldn't be, we're going to lower it. We're going to equalize, most likely, if they do anything. Executive orders also don't particularly have a lot of weight unless, it gets passed into law or there's some other way to enforce it. But it's usually just sort of, this is what I want to see happen, is what the executive orders are. I mean, they do apply to the executive branch agency heads, but he can't force Eli Lilly to do anything with an executive order. But
it changes with every president. So the next person can write a new order, and
not a long time to the next person.
Not that long. Lilly could look at it and go, "We'll wait this out."
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because what's the patent? I think the patent is 2036.
Yeah.
And I think it's 2038 for tirzepatide. I think it's 2036 for semaglutide. It's pretty far out there. So they could wait it out, I guess. I don't know.
So let's see.
What do we got in the chat, maybe?
Let's see. First of all, we'll do this one because I like this. Hey there, Durham's and Lee fits in. Good evening, everybody. And he says, Adrien says, you haven't lived until Oprah sent a plane to fetch you for a show.
Oh, that was wild. And I'm not, trying to shame anybody who doesn't love their mother, but I took my mom with me.
That's awesome.
So if you ever hear somebody say, "Oh, that Lee fits in as a jerk," He's a jerk. Oh, I'm not a jerk.
He
I took
took
my
his
mom to
see
see Oprah. Come on.
That's awesome. Was that the show that Countess of Shopping was in the audience? Was that show, or was it a different one?
It was her. So it came out in September of 2023, which was shortly before she decided she was going to try it herself. There was a panel. It was the head of Weight Watchers, Sema, I think is her name.
Yeah.
She was on the panel, and then two doctors, one of whom I now am pretty good friends, at least internet friends with. And then in the GLP-1,
Stanford Cody, Dr. Fatima Stanford Cody.
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah, she's cool.
She was very, very well spoken. And I'm blanking on the other one. She worked on the show The Whale. She was she's a psychologist in New York. Gosh, I'm blanking.
I think I watched that show. I think they had it. I think Weight Watchers had a link to it that you could view.
And then but the TikToker Shanta Willette, she does the holistic giggles. She has like a million follower account where she does comedy stuff. But she also talks about she had a stroke and a heart attack and got on GLP-1s and got healthy. She's the only TikToker that was there that I knew. And then me. And then they had the videos that they liked were about food noise. The way I was talking about the food noise and how it quiets that down. And so that's what I talked about a little bit with Oprah. But yeah, it was I couldn't believe it. I was like, I started TikTok late March of 2023. And by August, I've been on Good Morning America, and Oprah's flying me out, pick me up at the airport. She didn't pick me up, but I had like
Oprah's driving
an SUV with the blacked out windows, picked me up with the JFK. I mean, it was crazy.
That's the real deal right there. Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah.
Let's see. Here's a question for you. Mary Beth Clark, Lee, are you aware of the medical records companies stopping their providers from scripting compounds?
Yeah. So this, Strive is the one that's coming to my mind right now. And then there was one that I hadn't heard of out of California. I put it on, it's on, Dave on the pin.
Dave did a thing on it.
But anyway, so what these companies are, they are basically back-end tech for clinics and providers. And they not only manage the medical records, but they also, a lot of them, at least these ones that I've seen, help with payment processing for the clinics and the providers. And they were sending out, and it wasn't just one provider, but they were sending out letters saying, hey, you need to tell us if you're prescribing compounded GLP-1s, because if you are, we're going to stop services for you. And yeah. So, and then, there was back and forth about, hey, well, we're following all the guidelines, was I think how the provider, we are not, doing anything illegal. We're not prescribing compounded medications that are inconsistent with the FDA regulations, something like that. And it looked like for now, maybe that was enough, but that was another kind of sign where these places that they rely on are saying they won't cooperate. I heard one, and that's just an example. Banks are another one. So in Washington State, for example, recreational marijuana is legal. Well, federally, it is not legal. And so there's the banking around marijuana shops is really tricky. And that could be, similar here. We say banks are saying, hey, we don't want to get wrapped up in any kind of compounding, or what if, they have concerns that it's gray market research grade material that you're using, and they just don't want to get involved in anything like that. And so the banks could cause you problems.
Well, so let's talk gray for a minute, because I think a lot
Sure.
of people, and I saw your TikTok the other day about it, and I'm on board with you. I think a lot of people think gray market is legal and that they know better and they can do what they want to do. Is gray market legal?
No, definitely not. But now here's okay, I'm going to say one thing, and I'm going to do a video on this, is how do you spell gray? Because everybody either uses an E or an A.
Both are correct.
I had to Google it up. Yeah, they're both correct. It's more of in the U.S. The A is actually the more of the standard, and in English in England, E is more the use. But yeah, you can use both, I guess. I always use A, but I had to look it up. So gray means. I think that people think that gray. The reason I don't like that term is because it sounds like, well, maybe there's a gray area, but there's really not. The research material, people are like, I'm doing my research. Well, it is illegal to do research on a human, even if it's you. So doing research grade material on a human is illegal. So if that's what you're getting, a research grade, and you're planning to use it on a human, it's not legal. So I think because you can get research grade material, you're allowed to buy it and use it for research. They think it's gray because you can't. There are ways you can get it. It's not illegal to get it, but it is illegal to use it in the way that they're intending to. So it's, in that way, it's really not gray. And then now, I don't know if you've seen, and in the chat, maybe some folks have seen this going around, is they are supposed to get certified, get it tested and but now it's turning out some of those companies are forging the testing results. So, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. That's scary to me. So,
yeah, we are anti gray market. We don't like to talk about it. We don't support it. We don't think it's a good idea.
And there will be 10 people in the comments tomorrow telling us to get off our high horse.
Yeah.
Not doing it. Riding that horse.
Yeah. And some people will go,
right?
I mean, I just the thought of what they're doing has more red flags than I don't know what. But so same. If I start seeing the conversation about gray in my comment sections, I'm blocking. I just beyond
the legal thing, social media will shut us down in a heartbeat. If you start talking about that, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you might as well say goodbye.
Yeah, but now here's kind of back to your original question is, the folks who do gray are passionate about it, and they do not care what we think. And they are convinced that they've got it right. And I see this in the law, and you guys, I'm sure there's so many examples of people who are so convinced that they are smarter than everybody. And they've got this weird loophole that nobody's thought about. And it's this perfect plan, and it's going to be, but it never works. You're wrong. An example that for some reason I get on this TikTok stream where it's like people who are sovereign citizens, and they're like, the laws don't apply to me. There's some contract in Admiralty and blah blah blah, and they think they've got this whole thing figured out, and they printed it off the internet. That's who's doing great. So
here's a question for us. Let's see, Michelle Frank, do they do compounds outside the U.S., and if so, are they having the same issues? Not really is the answer. So although there are compounding pharmacies outside the U.S., they're really Joe's Pharmacy actually making a medicine for use, but there's no compounding at scale. There was in Australia for a while that got banned. That got shut down a while ago, and they had we just did an interview with James Newberry, who we talked about the vials were changed, and so compounding at scale is unique to the United States.
But what is it unique to just to GLP-1s? I mean, at the scale, I don't know.
I don't know anything else that's been compounded at scale. I mean,
it's wild.
I mean, I don't know, an EpiPen or something. I don't know what else would be.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. What do we got?
What do we got here? A lot of people complaining about Eli Lilly. Let's see here.
Lee, have you heard more about?
That's the same question.
Oh.
She just put it in further down.
All right.
Here's Adrien Gladill, our friend from The
Hey,
Biggest
Adrien.
Loser. Do you know Adrien?
Oh, I do know Adrien. Well, I don't know her personally, but I've seen the content that she's been on the show and on several different. She's out and about.
Yeah.
Very much
Did you
appreciate
hear about the wave of content creators for these companies got their account hit with restrictions this week for promoting telehealth companies?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if everyone else has noticed, but the traffic around affiliate affiliate creators, it's low. It's low. I see some affiliate videos come through, but not a lot. It's really quiet out there, which I found pretty interesting. So now, and then this week, they, what I've noticed, this is just with my account, curious if anybody else has seen it too, is my videos are getting muted, and it's saying that either these are videos of just me talking. There's no sound, and the response I get is that it's either copyrighted material, which is me just talking, so that can't be it, or it's content violation. So I guess I'm not even doing telehealth affiliate stuff, but if I think certain words are said, TikTok's algorithm is now starting to go that route where they're muting videos. So
we got one like that a few months ago, but we haven't had anything like that lately. It said copyright violation, and then we appealed it, and then they took it off. So I'm not sure the algorithm that picks that.
I don't know either. Yeah, but I've heard telehealth. Yeah, so this is why a lot of my early videos I deleted or moved private because I didn't want to have that happen. So the videos that I was talking about that got me some notoriety early on, you won't see them because for a time, last summer, there's been rounds of crackdowns that I didn't want to lose my account, so I took them down. Because it's like it comes in waves though. It's really weird.
It's weird.
Oh, crazy. So Mary Beth says a scared provider will back off if threatened with loss of licensure. I think that's exactly right. I think people can't afford to lose their livelihood.
Yeah, so that's for sure. And then the lawsuits themselves, even though those are what I consider a lower threat to shut down a telehealth or a provider, just the expense of dealing with it. All these telehealth providers are having to shell out a ton of money to defend the litigation, and so that quickly eats any profitability out for a smaller operation.
I mean, at what point? I ask. It's a silly question, but at what point does Lilly and Novo go? Gosh, if we didn't spend millions on lawyers, we could probably lower the price a little bit.
Yeah, I hear that comment a lot too. I don't think the lawyers cost nearly as much as they're making on the other end. So because the law firms that are competing for the Eli Lilly accounts, they're competing with each other, these big firms. So, they try and give as good a deal as they can to get those accounts in the door. I mean, it's still millions.
Still a lot of billable hours.
Hours.
They're not like Eli Lilly doesn't have like in-house counsel, or they use
the biggest law firm in the country.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there will be a small in-house, and this is how. Yeah, I mean, even like Microsoft or Costco and Boeing, they have in-house counsel, but they're dealing mostly with personnel issues, HR stuff. But once it gets into litigation, they go outside. That just seems to be the way, they seem to do. Like Perkins Coie is the big one around here. They do a ton of like Boeing cases and stuff like that. And so, those big firms, but the client, like Eli Lilly, obviously with that much money has a ton of control over what they are not willing to pay for. So, they'll create this big bill and all the billable hours, send it to the Eli Lilly, and then Eli Lilly can line item stuff,
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? You don't want to lose the account.
Right.
So,
right. There's another law firm that'll fill in tomorrow if
and Eli Lilly, they're asking to recoup their legal expenses if they win the case anyway.
Yeah.
yeah, well, they got hit. This one, they lost a case in Florida, and to a pharmacy, and Brooksville was the name. And the Brooksville's asking Eli Lilly to pay, I think, almost $500,000 in fees and costs. So, if they lose, they also can get stung with fees. But I think the amount of money that they're making, I mean, we know how cheap these peptides are to make. And they're charging $1,100, $1,200. I mean, and whatever the insurance is getting reimbursed, hundreds. I mean, I don't know. It's an insane profit margin.
Sure.
Well, so here's Sherry Yates has a prediction. Within 2 years, your choices will be pay Lilly or go gray, basically. What do you think of that?
On a 2-year frame, yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. I was when you asked me my concern level for compounding, it's still just kind of in the yellowish range over the next 6 months, maybe a year. But I think, yes, this is slowly going to go away. And I think a lot of the telehealth companies are just making as much money as they can while they can. And because I don't think it's a long-term industry, because that's just not, even if the enforcement doesn't come in, the laws is eventually going to change, because this was not how compounding pharmacies, the laws were designed. This was not what they were designed for. Yeah.
Well, but what I would say is Lilly won't be in 2 years from now. There will be other players in this market, so it won't be just Lilly and Novo. There will be some other people that come to market.
Yeah.
And Lilly will have 3, maybe 4 drugs. Novo will have a couple. So there will be more competition out there.
And this is more in your guys' wheelhouse. So what have you heard on the oral, the approval for, because I think once you get rid of the shot bit, if people can just take it with their daily vitamins in the morning, that's the game changer.
So Lilly will present at the diabetes conference, I think like next week.
Okay.
And do the update on the latest round 3, and then their plans are to launch probably mid to late 2026. And they've been stockpiling. They've already started making millions of dollars worth of medication.
Oh yeah. When the pill form comes out, it will be 1, more affordable, and 2, just much easier for people to get on board to do.
I bet you anything pills come in at under $200 and maybe under $100 a month.
So,
and I got a super chat here, Lee.
Oh, a super chat. Let's go.
Super chat. Let's see here. What does Mel say, Lorraine?
Female B, I noticed that one of the big Amble affiliates on YouTube or on TikTok and YouTube hasn't posted since Novo filed suit against them a few weeks ago. Love the work you do, Lee. Thanks, Mel. Thanks for your super chat.
Thanks, Mel. Yeah, Amble, the funny thing, oh, wow. Is the robot? I love the robot. So, there was a big flurry of lawsuits like mid-March, I want to say, but didn't include Amble. And I say this with good intentions, because I have really good friends who are Amble affiliates. So I'm not going against my friends here. But I will say that my prediction was, and it came true, that Amble was next. Because people, I covered Mochi and Henry's Med, Willow Health. There was a group of them, and then I was like, I just know. I have a feeling Amble's next, and sure enough, they got hit. And then I've talked to some. My understanding is they're full steam ahead. Like they aren't planning to change anything that they're doing. However, I have noticed that it's quieter, and specifically with Amble. Amble has so many affiliates. They really they approached me, and I think one of the things that's attractive to the affiliates is they basically get paid by the video instead of getting paid for referrals, and so they would just crank out videos because you could get paid by making content. Instead of converting referrals. I don't know how long that could last. Maybe they've tamped that down, so you're not getting paid per video, or they're only willing to pay for a certain number now. And so that's my guess. my guess is Amble's changed its affiliates system, or they've told them to tamper it down because they're getting their accounts violated. They're getting violations against their account, right? And so you don't want to lose your account. So
all right, so we have 490 people out there. Got a few people watching. Lee, 212 likes. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. This is Lee Fitzen of TikTok. If you have not liked him on TikTok, he also has a YouTube channel. Make sure you do that. We'll keep talking. But if you're new here, I'm Christopher. This is Lorraine. We're the Downsized. An hour into this extravaganza. Please make sure you hit the like button. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, the semaglutide. What do you think is going to happen?
Okay, yeah. So I feel like this is all. I use the term baked in, but I feel like this is one that we've all kind of, since the ruling came out on tirzepatide, have thought, well, that's
just a copy and paste.
That's not going to happen. So, but officially it has not happened. So the ruling on semaglutide has not come out. The briefing was due. I think it's due by the end of this week or early next week. And then I don't believe that they've got an oral argument scheduled. They did do the oral argument. We had some people there, even like on the boots on the ground reporting on the scene, which was cool, at the tirzepatide case. And then they didn't even get let in because of all the trade secrets and stuff. The judge kept the door shut. In fact, he basically like bolted the door shut. Like you couldn't get in or out. Like now this is Texas, so maybe it's different, but like the fire code, I would feel like would be an issue. But yeah, anyway, so semaglutide, it appears that he's just going to be ruling based on the briefing, which the judge can do if he wants. He doesn't have to have an oral argument. So I think we'll get the official sort of thumbs down by mid-June. I don't think it'll take long. And then the tirzepatide case is going up on appeal. So will semaglutide, but the Fifth Circuit, the interesting part is that the pharmacies picked this judge. I don't know if folks are aware of that, because some people are like, oh, the judge is corrupt, the judge this and that. Well, this is a nationwide issue. So everyone's heard of judge shopping. Well, this particular judge hears these cases about the FDA in this particular court, the Northern District of Texas. So when they filed there and chose that, they knew they were getting Judge Pittman, because he has a tendency, Trump appointee, has a tendency to be willing to buck the government agencies. And so they, if you want to complain about the judge, you kind of have to blame the pharmacies who basically picked that venue. But the trouble is the Fifth Circuit is the Court of Appeals that will hear these cases, and they're very conservative. I don't think that's that ship has sailed. We'll hear about semaglutide in June, but arguing about the shortage is, I think, a waste of time now.
It's over. Yeah.
Well, so there's a couple of people asking if all of this impacts the branded stuff, Mounjaro, Zepbound, and the answer is no. As long as you have a real doctor writing a real prescription, sending it to a real drugstore, assuming it's in stock, you'll be able to get your branded prescription.
Yeah, and I get this comment a lot, so I'll go ahead and say it too, because I'm sure everyone in the chat is already saying it, and I just haven't seen. But the main thing would be for the name brands to become more affordable. I guess it's just, might as well say it out loud. Maybe it seems really obvious to the three of us, but yes, what you're saying in the chat is absolutely true. That would cause all this to end, all this fighting, all this litigation. But they don't want to do that.
Well, I think it comes. It's only a matter of time, and it's if you look at Lilly 2 years out, when they've got orforglipron, tirzepatide, and retatrutide, so they've got a whole range of medications that have different efficacies. That pill is easy to pump out by the millions and distribute without a refrigerated, distribution system, the whole 9 yards.
So we're hoping that in 2026 these things come out: the orforglipron, the retatrutide, maybe that forces prices down. We're hoping that forces prices down. Eli Lilly, if you're watching, please lower your prices. You could make all the compounders go away like that if you lowered the price of Zepbound to $199 a month, $299 a month.
Yeah.
Would it, period, point blank, gone for, like, who's going to take compounded if you could get the branded for the same price or comparable? So that's
is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're seeing as far as sort of average pricing for the compounds? It seems like that's about right in like the 200 range, 250.
Mochi's $199, tirzepatide $79 membership fee, so $199.
There's a lot of them that are
right in there.
Yep.
Those are kind of the best prices I see. So
yep.
And the thing is, I mean, to me, Wall Street forces this eventually, because they're going to have to continue to grow. And Lilly missed their numbers 2 quarters in a row. And the only way to continue to grow is sell more. Well, that artificial $1,000 cap is what's slowing it down at this point. And they needed to, because they didn't have the production, right? So,
yeah. I think too, once these other products come out, then semaglutide becomes old news, and it gets cheaper and cheaper, and it's still very effective. I mean, that's Ozempic.
Yeah.
That's the one that everybody knows, and it'll be, even though the patent doesn't run out, it'll be kind of old news at that point. And I think people will be trying to get on retatrutide, as they already are. And I hear the really good things. But even as, semaglutide maybe has a little more side effects, isn't quite as effective, it's still very good. And that'll be a good option.
well, and they fired their CEO. So there's a new person coming in. So what's your strategy if you're the new CEO?
Well, you got to make more money, right? You got to increase the profits. And how are you going to do that? You got to sell more stuff, or you got to have more newer stuff or better stuff. So all that.
I think you should have hired Lorraine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Brian Doyle says if they can't raise the prices overseas because the government in the UK won't allow it, but they could pull out of the UK altogether.
Well, they're not going to.
They could. It's a tiny little island.
Oh, stop. Okay. No, he didn't just say that. Don't please.
Hey, now I have, so that's an issue I've looked into too, because some people don't realize that the pricing is set by the governments and not just Eli Lilly. So Eli Lilly can't just raise the price, but because it's what the reimbursement rate is set at. But that's where these tariff wars come in too. And if they kind of, if we say, hey, we're going to include some requirement that you raise your price on for Ozempic or Wegovy, as part of the negotiations, that could be one way that it happens. But we obviously can't control or force Novo Nordisk to raise their prices overseas. Yeah. But
So here's one of our frequent viewers. Piggy asks no more. Are not the states within the right to have, Piggy?
I just love the name. That's so funny.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We have a race. So I'm a big guy, but I still like running is kind of my hobby. And we have a marathon, half marathon, and an ultra marathon that they do here in my town. It's called the Fat Ass Marathon.
Oh my God.
So that's right up my alley. But Piggy, all right, Piggy, what's she saying?
Well, he says, are not the states within their rights to have stronger, stricter rules than the FDA? I mean, look at minimum wage. Many states are higher than federal. Isn't this the same thing? So can they have stronger laws?
Yeah. So, if a federal law, so it's called federal preemption, if you want to put that into your chat GPT. But if the federal government has a whole system of regulations and laws around a certain industry, that it can be said that they've preempted any state action on that particular industry. But states can usually always be more strict.
Be more
They just
strict.
can't be less strict.
Less strict.
So
Right.
yeah, so a state can't go below the federal minimum wage, but they can certainly pay more. A state can be more restrictive. For example, maybe Nevada. Isn't New York's another one that's really strict on compounding? Louisiana, maybe. There's some states that are really harsh on compounds, and other states aren't. But as long as they aren't below the federal threshold, then they can do whatever they want. So yeah, that's a good question.
Interesting. He's a super chat.
Well, first of all, we have Kate, who gifted 10 Downsized memberships. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Nice.
That's very good. Let's see. Piggy, I see your super chat, but it's not coming up in my stream. Let me.
Maybe you have to.
Oh, did I say it wrong, Darian? Federal preemption. I think I said it wrong. Yeah, preemption.
Darian knows.
There we go, Piggy.
Thank you for your super chat, Piggy of 1999. The problem with the others coming to the market is Lilly will be competing with Lilly, Novo with Novo. The big two's only price pressure will come others, and at this point they have all the Cadillac and the others have Kia.
I think you're right. Piggy. I think the difference will be the price pressure will come from Wall Street. I think Wall Street is looking at the 74% of America that's overweight or obese and saying, this is a gold rush and you're not moving fast enough. $1,000 a month is limiting the size, and it's limiting the amount of money you can make, and you've got to move faster, and they'll do it
because $4 billion profit per quarter isn't enough.
No,
they've still got to hit expectations.
Yeah,
still got to hit expectations.
Buy your Eli Lilly stock now.
Which actually, Aussie Craig from Australia says, surely the price is limiting the branded meds from going short again. Drop the price, increase demand, and the products go into shortage.
Probably.
Except in the U.S., Lilly launched in vials, and there are enough vial factories out there that they could stay out of shortage forever if they want to. That's not a big deal. Or honestly, they could work with some telehealths and get some compounding pharmacies to help out.
Be a cold day in hell, but
yeah.
I know. The most that I've seen the telehealths working is Lilly Direct. There are certain telehealths who are essentially partnering with Eli Lilly to help funnel folks to Lilly Direct. So I have seen that, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the litigation was blacked out. I know that we couldn't see exactly what they were saying, but Lilly and Novo were both saying they can meet demand. And I will say I haven't had an issue filling my prescriptions. I haven't heard of a lot of people other than here and there saying they've had any issues. I mean, the shortage may be over. I mean, I have to accept that that's a possibility.
I mean, it could be. I mean, Christopher has a 15 milligram Zepbound prescription that we occasionally fill just to round out our assortment, if you will. And I put it in last week, and it on the app, and it popped up. We don't have this in stock.
Oh, really?
It's not in stock. We'll have to order it. We don't know when it'll be in. Might be a week or a few days or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? If there's no shortage, but I mean, I guess that doesn't mean pharmacies don't necessarily stock it, right? They're not going to put in their little tiny refrigerators in the back of the pharmacy all these really expensive boxes of Zepbound.
Yeah, they didn't build their pharmacies understanding that they would need to have 100
refrigerators. Half the pharmacy is now going to be refrigerator, right?
Yeah, but then that's where that pill form comes in. The shelf stable. I mean, the refrigeration aspect is that's a killer for any kind of
well, it makes it hard all around, right? It makes it hard for the user. It makes it hard for the pharmacy. It just adds another layer of difficulty to the whole.
So, and we have another membership gift. So Wayne Whitmer gifted 10 Downsized memberships. Thanks,
you, Wayne. Wayne Whitmer. He lives in Texas.
He lives in Empower.
Yeah, he drove to Empower.
Now, so this is Empower is one of the ones I worry. I mean, because Texas obviously is conservative more, and I don't know if there's the lobbying that's going on, but if they shut down something like that, that'd be a big issue.
Please don't shut down Empower.
I know that's a big. I know it's a huge.
I like my foam cooler from Empower. I don't know. Texas, don't mess with Texas. We do what we want. Maybe they
I
go
hope
the
so.
other way on that. Maybe, I don't know. And Empower, I've heard Empower calls himself the biggest compounding pharmacy in the
Yeah, that
world.
guy's out
It's
there doing
huge,
interviews
yeah.
and drawing attention now.
Is it? I don't know. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
that's
Well,
the
I mean,
CEO.
yeah, and Empower is getting sued, but again, like I said, some people were pretty worried about that. I'd be more concerned if the Texas Pharmacy Board starts giving them a hard time. But
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've had some violations, but a lot of the pharmacies get those from time to time for all kinds of things. So
Right.
hopefully there's not a real risk there.
Yeah.
Houston.
Who knows?
I hope so.
Who knows?
What else is happening?
Well,
in
Lee,
the
what
chat?
else did we want to talk about today? And then we'll let you go. I know does your daughter have a performance?
Yeah,
or
so
something?
she's got a choir. She's a musician. She sings. She does shows. They just finished a show called Hades Town. Have you ever heard of
Yeah,
Hades?
I've
Town?
seen it.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So good. Amazing. So for everybody here, if you ever hear of the show Hades Town coming to town, it's a newer one. Maybe not know anything about it. Go see that one. That one is
Yeah.
It's a very we saw it twice on Broadway. So.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We've seen it 3 times. Well, I saw it about 9 times because she was Persephone in the
Oh, wow.
That's a good role.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, she's very, very good.
Yeah.
What else? Let's see. Not a lot of updates on the telehealth who got sued because some people are asking me any updates. But for example, Mochi, they don't even have to really respond till like June something. These cases get drug out a lot. And so I haven't really seen any like real meat on the bones of any of those. Always they put a ton of allegations in there about all kinds of stuff. But until we get discovery and figure out what's really going on, because Amble's big thing was, they were saying you don't have to see a provider or even talk to anybody, and that was their big, complaint against them. But the litigation process takes so long with discovery and depositions and motions. It's just going to take forever if anybody was kind of wanting an update on those. So
well, that's good news for me.
yeah,
I mean,
actually, what's funny is so I know Mochi's going through. I work right by there, and I saw the blue boxes. I saw a big stash of them. I was like, oh my gosh, the blue boxes are back. So people loved those. I'll be curious if those make a comeback.
Well, what are they going to ship them over to Texas to Empower and get Empowered?
I don't know. I was like, well, all right. But I remember people love those, and that was one of the main comments I got is they just love the shipping and the packaging and So I don't know. I'm
sure they've got a big container or warehouse full of those blue thermoses and blue boxes. So they should just send them to Texas, and instead of Empower giving me this big foam cooler, they could go back to the blue thermos.
That's what I don't know. I mean, if they've got an exclusive with a big pharmacy that can do that, maybe why not? I mean, because people did love that. Let's see. The main. We talked about a ton of stuff.
Do you think we see a federal lawsuit asking to explain the 503A and 503B regulations, saying this doesn't mean? I don't know. That's the question. Because when you read them, they obviously weren't written to take this into account, right? Nobody saw this coming. So
okay. I don't know if there would be a lawsuit as much as a lobbying effort by Eli Lilly and Novo and Pfizer, who wants to get into the game, obviously, to say this. We need to rework this whole situation. I just don't know which right now with the way that the climate is for medical care and pharmacies are so negative. Like, which party would want to take that on as their their thing? They're going to because everybody's so mad about big insurance right now. I do workers' comp, so we deal with insurance companies, and currently it's been real good for me because the jurors come in the door, hate the insurance companies so much. So if you say, oh, we want to rework and make compounding harder, I don't know who's going to champion that, but it's a lot of money.
It's just they're all kind of standing on this personalized dosing, and and there's not a lot when you read that regulation. There's not a lot of explanation of what any of that stuff actually means in there.
Yeah, so that's where rulemaking is something that I could see, and so for the folks in the chat too, so there's statutes, which is what Congress passes. They're working on the big beautiful bill, right? That's a statute. Mm-hmm. You got to pass both houses, and the president's got to sign it. And then there are rules that administrative agencies make, and all they have to do is come up with a rule that says, here's what X, Y, and Z means. Here's how we're going to handle it. They publish it, let people comment on it, and then if they maybe make changes or not, and then that becomes a rule. And an administrative rule is essentially a law, but it's not really passed by anybody. So that's where I think, yes, we've got a new administration. I'm sure they're still getting their heads around everything that they've got to do. But I could definitely see that as something to have on the radar. The rule and comment period takes a while, but not years usually, but it can. But that would be another area where it could either make it better or worse, depending on the administration.
Well, I mean, if I'm Big Pharma, I've got my lobbyist writing new rules right now, walking around Washington going, hey.
But see, now, this is where it could be easier for them to get to politicians and, to help send money to their campaigns than it is to get to administrators to make a rule. They tend to be, agency employees tend to be long-term career officials, and the deep state, or whatever you want to call them, they've been there forever. And they tend to have some job security, although less now lately. So they tend to be a little harder to get to, but they can. I mean, money changes hands. It happens. So if we see some sort of sweetheart deal with Big Pharma in a rule, that would be, well, I mean, the problem is it'd be kind of inconsistent with the current attitude of this administration, at least with Big Pharma. So, but, money talks, and I don't trust any politician, either side, as far as I can throw them.
Fair enough. Let's see here. Crazy Cat Lady in LA says, any thoughts on potential shortages with the upcoming Caremark-ageddon pushing people to Wegovy?
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that. Caremark-ageddon, yeah. Talk about corruption. CVS, and one of the things, CVS owns the whole chain of command and controls it, so they want to give, one of the allegations, and not to bring it up again, but they were like, oh, Mochi owns the pharmacy. I'm like, look at CVS. And that's the problem. These are the people that are the problem, not little telehealth companies trying to get people GLP-1s. CVS, get out of town. And then so what kind of money exchanged hands there?
So CVS Caremark got together with Novo and decided CVS Caremark was only going to approve Wegovy. Yeah. So people on Zepbound now, if you have Caremark as your pharmacy benefit manager, you're probably going to get kicked over to Wegovy unless your doctor is very good at writing a prior authorization and all the stars align and the wind is just right and all that. So it's maybe Wegovy now, people shift back to Wegovy and Wegovy goes into shortage, but maybe there's no shortage. So we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Novo's saying they've got enough to handle it. And so, and they're building more facilities and all that. I'd be surprised if that kicks it back into a shortage. But that'd be the funniest sort of end to this whole thing, is that it goes back into a shortage after all that litigation.
Well, but the shortages are self-reported. So if you're Big Pharma, are you going to ever report the shortage?
Well, they had to have at some point, because it did go on shortage.
But would you do it again?
And it took 2 years to unwind all that. So I don't think they would ever report a shortage again. But the CVS Caremark thing is wild to think that, because they're different medications. I get that they're both GLP-1s, but tirzepatide has a totally different profile from semaglutide, and they're just going to tell you that's what you have to take now. They're not even your doctor. In a lot of states, it's illegal for companies to dictate your care if they aren't your doctor. The corporate practice of medicine is another. You can put that one in your chat, into your Google chat. And so, you're not supposed to do that. But sure enough, that what else could you call this?
Yeah.
What else could you call this? Yeah, it's a shame too, because I've been on both, and tirzepatide it's easier on my system. It's easier on my stomach. I can avoid side effects on semaglutide if as long as I'm mindful of what I'm doing. But on tirzepatide, I think you could do whatever you could eat. You could just take the shot and you're fine. I don't know. I didn't have any kind of way less side effect profile on tirzepatide, but
it's amazing. So that's what we've both been on as well. So it's
tirzepatide.
I've had very little side effects, honestly.
But people have told us, the nausea, vomiting on Wegovy, Ozempic seems to be pretty high compared to Zepbound, Mounjaro. So just what I hear people telling us.
I will tell you, I agree. From experiencing both. So, you just have to be more mindful to stay ahead of certain things. And it's good. I mean, it means being hydrated, having your electrolytes, getting your protein numbers, having some carbs helps me with my side effects. But I on tirzepatide, I didn't really need to worry. I mean, those are good things to be doing anyway, so I guess it's good. But
all good things.
Yeah. So.
Well, very good, Lee. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you coming on, and
thanks for having me.
Your insight.
Nope, I appreciate it. Very nice to meet you both, and have a good night.
Okay, well, if you haven't already, make sure you go to Lee's YouTube channel, subscribe after we're done here, and go to his TikTok.
Yeah, mostly on TikTok, but yeah.
It's actually, I put his TikTok in the description, so you can go down to the description and do that. Thank you, man. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, of course. Have a good night.
Bye. Bye. Well, that was interesting to have an attorney's point of view on some of the happenings that's been going on in the GLP-1 world. So thank you for hanging with us tonight. We've got about 500 people, 504 watchers. Hit that like button. We hope you will subscribe to our channel. A lot of questions. I'm looking at the chat going on about our memberships, as people are giving them. What are memberships and what do they do? All of our content is always free on YouTube. We are in a quest to become full-time YouTube content creators. We pretty much are at this point anyway, because we make about a video a day. And if you would like to support us further, you can click that join button and become a member of the Downsized. We have special emojis for our Facebook members, or not Facebook members, for our YouTube members. There's a special Facebook group. We do a special live show just for members most Tuesday nights. So you can click that join button probably later, because if you click it now, you'll get away from the live and you can watch it later. So anyway, just wanted to
so yeah, Lee on YouTube is also, I think he's Lee Fits In, all one word on most of the social media channels he's out there. Let's see here what's going on. So there's a lot of stuff that I have scrolled past. So if there was anything really important, if you lost weight, if you had an
or if you've got questions,
or if you've got questions, go ahead and assume it's gone. It's in the YouTube Netherlands.
In the ether.
This is a slightly different show, but as always, we want to make sure and answer your questions and celebrate your wins and say thank you for being here. There's 493 people out there and 326 likes right now. So, it's a fun Wednesday night here. If you're just joining us, so we're an hour and 18 minutes in. That's not going to do it. It doesn't have that on there. We're an hour and 18 minutes in. I'm Christopher.
Hi, Christopher.
Who are you?
I'm Lorraine.
We've been married 22 years. We've lost 150 plus pounds between us using GLP-1s. Tirzepatide, Zepbound, Mounjaro, and we talk about weight loss, health and wellness with GLP-1s every day here on YouTube.
Yeah. I've lost all my weight on compounded tirzepatide, so I'm very concerned about what's happening with compounding, what's the future of compounding, where's it going to go? And I think we can all probably agree that compounding is great for now. Is it going to be around forever? Hard to say. So while you can get it, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting it while I can.
But so we talk about the branded medication. We talk about all the medications. Really, I don't care which medication it is, to be quite frank. What I'm looking for is affordability, accessibility, and safety for everybody who needs it.
Right. So if your insurance covers you and you can get Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic, you get it.
You won the lottery.
You get it. You fill that script every 28 days at your CVS or wherever, and that's awesome, right? Unfortunately, our health insurance does not cover weight loss medications or any of these medications, and believe us, we've tried. So we've gone the compounded route. So that's our story.
So let's see here. We have a new question from Anthony. So do you think compounding just needs to survive until orforglipron comes out? Also, how much do you think Lilly will price it at? So I can only make up numbers. What do I believe? I could well be wrong. So far, I've been right, and the prices have come down, even when people told me I was full of crap.
Full of crap.
But I was right. So I could be wrong tomorrow. My kids tell me that all the time.
Compounding, I tell people all the time, we just need to hang in till sometime in 2026. We just need to stock up, stay on compounding, whatever we need to do to get to 2026, because in 2026, we're hoping and we're thinking that retatrutide comes out, that orforglipron comes out, and those drugs hopefully, orforglipron doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's a pill. Hopefully it'll be a lower price because you don't have to have the auto injector and be refrigerated and all that mess. So hopefully, how much do you think it'll be, Christopher Durham?
Well, how much do I think? So I think when you look at those three drugs for Lilly, basically you'll have orforglipron be the entry level drug, and you should be able to lose, according to the research they've released, about as much weight, if not slightly more, than Ozempic or Wegovy today, with no refrigeration, with no needles, just easy. So it will be very accessible. It'll step up to tirzepatide, and we all know the efficacy of that. And then retatrutide. I think retatrutide will be the most expensive one and be the hardest to get. It'll have the highest criteria. They're not just going to throw retatrutide scripts out there to everybody. Well, and the prices will then go up correspondingly. Right. My guess would be orforglipron will come in under 200. I would hope it'll come in under 100, because I think they're looking at the size of the market and saying, we want all of it. Greed will take over, and then tirzepatide will step up, and it may stay at a similar price that it is now, and then retatrutide will be really expensive. I don't think that's going to be at an accessible price.
I think it might be retatrutide, from what we've heard in the clinical trials, is it just melts the fat off people, right? It's like if Ozempic Wegovy is 15-18% of your body weight loss, and tirzepatide, which is Zepbound Mounjaro, is 20-22%. I'm ballparking these figures, but that's how it steps up. And then retatrutide, you can lose even more weight than Zepbound Mounjaro with retatrutide. So it'll be a godsend for people with morbid obesity who need to lose 100, 200 plus pounds, right? So that'll be really something I think that's going to be specific to a certain group of people.
And what we have seen, and we've actually recorded a video where we kind of talked along with Eli Lilly's CEO, Ricks, is they really see the opportunity to advance beyond type 2 diabetes and obesity and go after. So they've got these drugs in testing for like 10, 12 different things. So they're looking at expanding this market. And the only way to do that is to get the price down.
Well, like they approved it for sleep. They approved Zepbound for sleep apnea. So, you could be covered maybe if you have sleep apnea.
I see the prices coming down in the next year to 2 years for sure, whether that be because new drugs emerge either from Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Viking. There's a bunch of other players. There's 600 drugs in development right now globally. That'll certainly be a huge piece of it. hopefully there will be some congressional, some legislative, some legal things that are happening, whether it be the president's proposals or what have you. Something should happen in the next couple of years, as well as continued insurance coverage. So it's kind of happening on a lot of fronts, that prices should come down. Is it going to happen overnight? And could I be completely wrong? No, it's not going to happen overnight. And yes, I could be completely wrong. Happens all the time.
Happens all the time, we say around here. No, just
It's my teenager.
Yeah. So this one from Nellie Lee says, I really hate that the compound is going away. Well, I mean, don't panic. Like 5-10 years from now, I don't expect there'll be compounding. I expect we'll have lower prices and more choices. Right. Because I've been on tirzepatide with little side effects, often after being very sick when I went up to the 5 milligram last year and after being off for 4 months. Yeah. So, I mean, we want these medications to be accessible. We want them to be affordable. I'm still buying my compounded tirzepatide. So, as long as I can buy it and it's the best price, that's what I'll do. Moxie Roxy says, I'm so nervous. My insurance, CVS, is forcing me to switch to Wegovy. Yeah, we just kind of went over that. I've lost 90 pounds with Zepbound. This is happening in July. Is anyone on here taking Wegovy? I think lots of people that watch the Downsized take Wegovy.
There's your one.
Yeah, Jazzy says, I'm on Wegovy, lowest dose, and I've lost almost 50 pounds in a little over 6 months. I think if you're really forced to go from Zepbound to Wegovy and there's just no way around it, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to switch to Wegovy, right? So maybe you need to, and I don't know how those doses are comparable. You'll have to work with your doctor on that. I've seen doctors try to go to a different dose. I've seen doctors start patients from the lowest dose and start over. So,
I mean, remember,
kind of a whole different thing. We've never really
remember until last month, really, Ozempic and Wegovy were the largest weight loss drug in the world. Period.
Yeah,
it's only been OG, recently.
The OG
a lot
drug,
of people
right?
have lost a lot of weight and have been very successful with it.
I don't think you need to panic.
No,
but yeah, I mean, your concern is valid, right? I would be pissed. I mean, how dare some insurance company tell me that they know better than my doctor? So I get it, right? I get it, but I'd also be glad that my insurance covers it at all, because ours doesn't. So, I don't know. What are you going to do, right?
Let's see here. A question. Do you think, from LM Davis, who's a member? Thank you for being a member, LM. Do you think Medicare will cover GLP-1 pills in 2026? I would say that's unlikely, honestly. I think it takes a good while. Medicare and Medicaid currently cannot cover any weight loss by law, cannot cover any weight loss things. What the prior administration was trying to do was redefine the way the law was interpreted and say that these medications were for the disease of obesity, such that if you had a prescription and a diagnosis for the disease of obesity, Medicare and Medicaid could pay for it. That went away with this most recent administration, and they haven't really talked about it anymore. I think they're trying to solve it in different ways. Trump's done big press conferences about that, so we'll see how that plays out. It's very, very rare for Medicare to immediately cover any drug, though, so it'll come out, and then it'll take a while for them to decide that it could get covered.
It'll take
it's possible, but doesn't happen that often.
Ada Gonzalez says, I have a friend on trial. Oh, she's in the Retatrutide trial, her friend. Does it also help to control glucose levels? Does it work on the liver in some way? I mean, I think all these were developed for type 2 diabetes to start with. So I would.
And they're testing both diabetes, but we're not doctors, so I don't know enough about that.
That'd be a good question for Condi, our cancer obesity connection.
He was out there earlier. I don't know if he's still on.
Yeah. That's a good question for our molecular biologist friend, Condi. We'll send that over to him.
Teresa Andajar, Orderly Med seems to think they can continue compounding legally through adding additional ingredients specific to the
They all
patient.
do.
Do you think they can? They all think that's
They
the
all
case.
think that.
Now,
Yeah.
what Lee was talking about earlier was the letter that came from the state of Nevada to the pharmacies, specifically said, no, that will not work. You cannot legally do that. I think that's the question that some of these lawsuits are going to have to answer. We're not attorneys, doctors, pharmacists. So I don't know the answer. I think some of it doesn't quite pass the smell test to me. So if you are creating tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of prescriptions with niacinamide or B12 or whatever it may be, and it turns out that all 100,000 patients need the same thing, I don't know. Somewhere doesn't make sense.
When is personalization not personal? What if you're just trying to differentiate it from the name brand, right? So different dosage levels, like a 16.6 milligram dose instead of a 15, or adding niacinamide to compounded tirzepatide. Well, that makes it different. Did anybody ask me if I needed niacinamide in my tirzepatide? I don't remember being asked that, but I remember it being a choice on my drop-down menu when I ordered it. So of course I did. I hope they're right, honestly, but we have no earthly idea.
Yeah. No earthly idea here. WM.
Semaglutide was discontinued in May in Weight Watchers. So they offered Zepbound for about $320, which is only slightly higher than the semaglutide. No side effects like semaglutide.
Well, so
they're not Zepbound.
No, it is. It's
compounded. They're not for $320.
Well,
they're giving you
she's saying
Zepbound.
what they did was they are selling through Lilly Direct. So that first dose is $349, $399, whatever.
$349, I believe.
So that's only slightly higher for sure. And then the next one will go up to $499.
I got an email just today from Weight Watchers that said first month free Wegovy. Get your Wegovy here through us at Weight Watchers. And I think it was their clinic fee they were giving free for the first month, because Wegovy has released a introductory price of $199 for the first month. So people are jumping on that, but it's only for the first month, and then it goes back up again. So Linda Bookmiller says, any thoughts or suggestions on getting medical records from your telehealth company? I've read it could be important to document your weight loss journey for future coverage if telehealth is gone. I think about what you can pull up on the Mochi portal. I can pull up a super bill of all the charges that I've ever been charged with Mochi. I can also pull up every record of every doctor telehealth visit with my provider through Mochi. I can pull up my dietitian visit and that record. I would definitely keep those, print those out, put them in a file. I also talked to my provider, my in-person, like yearly checkup, blood work, physical provider, and she knows that I'm on compounded tirzepatide. She's noted that in my chart. I keep a chart with my weight all these 80 whatever weeks we've been on this. It's not an official document, but I can go into a provider, to a in-person doctor, and say, hey, this works for me. I've been doing it for 86 weeks, and you can see my progress every week. So the more information that you have on hand, I think. And
honestly, it's a good time to make sure your local doctor that gives you your physical every year knows what's going on, because the more they know if telehealth goes away, because it could happen. One of these telehealths could just chain the doors and be gone tomorrow, right? They could go, we're bankrupt. Lilly got us. It is what it is. But if your local provider has been brought up to speed and knows what happens, they will work with you, or there will be someone who will work with you to make sure that you're taken care of.
Well, and I think the whole thing, I've been thinking about this a lot. So, those of us that have been taking these medications, these GLP-1s, and maybe some doctors don't like it, or our friends don't like it, or our family doesn't like it. You know what? We should just be like, I don't care. I don't care what you think. If my doctor doesn't like it, I got to find another doctor. And if my friends and family don't like it, well, they're just not going to like it. But if it's working for me and it's helped me to lose 50 plus pounds and it's helped my husband to lose over 100 pounds, like, who cares what other, and it's so hard, right? Because our whole lives I've been struggling with this disease of obesity, and it's really, really hard not to worry what other people think. But I think at some point we just have to like let them think whatever they're going to think. The Mel Robbins theory, right? Just let them do whatever they're going to do. We're doing this. They can like it or not like it. It's whatever. Let them do what they want.
So Sydney says, I'm on Zepbound from Lilly Direct, 2.5 milligram for the past 2 months and lost 11 pounds. So you know what, Sydney, you get some confetti for that.
Yay!
Okay, that's awesome. Good for you. I'm going to be tested soon for sleep apnea, and then I'll try to get my insurance to pay for the med. That sounds like a great plan.
Yeah. Christopher, I know, had sleep apnea before he lost 100 pounds. We never got it. We never got him tested. We never did a sleep study, but he does not snore now. He does not wake up, from whatever breathing problem he was having before. So yeah, it's a definite thing. Big Sash. I actually need a compounded version of tirzepatide because I am a super responder and have had all my GLP-1 or GLP success between 1 and 2.5 milligram. Well, congratulations, Big Sash. I only go to 2.5 when I want to drop quick because it makes me nauseous. All right.
Well, so what I believe will eventually happen, and we've interviewed quite a few doctors who have talked about personalized dosing and talked about the future of obesity care, and we ask them specific questions, and personalized dosing is one of those things. I think eventually Lilly releases a vial that has preservatives in it that could be used multiple times, because the realization
today they don't have that.
But they don't have it today. The realization comes that there are people like Big Sash who may not need quite as much of the medication.
And there are people like that. I've talked to people like that. I talked to a lady who lost 50 pounds on never going above a 2.5 milligram dose. So there are, and it's important to be able to figure that out for yourself, right? So that's good that you could figure out that you didn't need such a high dose. And really, everybody's going to react differently to this medication. So whether you're a super responder and you only need 2.5, or whether you really need to get to that maybe 10 or 12.5
or 20 or 30
15 milligram dose to see a weight loss, who cares, right? You got to do the dose that works for you, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because you're a super responder, or you're average.
To be clear, the excuse that you need a smaller dose, Lilly and Novo could shut down instantly by just releasing a vial with preservatives in it. And then compounding wouldn't be able to do it. That wouldn't be an excuse.
Well, so what they have now, the Lilly Direct vials, and they send you 4 vials, right? And they are good for puncture one time. And if you try to extend the life of them or take a half a dose or whatever, they don't have preservatives in them that you could, injure yourself with bacteria. I don't know, whatever. So, and then the other part of that was if you don't reorder every 6 weeks, they jack the price up. Because if you're stretching your doses out, if you're stretching your medicine out, they're going to penalize you for it because they don't.
They only do after the first on the top 3 doses though.
Yeah, but they don't want you doing that.
Raise the price.
They're going to raise the price if you try to stretch the dose out.
Yeah. I think that I already had that one.
Anthony says, I can't believe people are getting duped into that 1 month Wegovy price. Diabolical. Yeah, it's diabolical, right? I think I've been using that word a lot too. Our teenagers say that word a lot. It is diabolical. It's the classic bait and switch. Like, start Wegovy, $1.99 your first month. Oh, it's never going to be $1.99 again. I think it goes up to what, like $4.99, or I don't even know. But it's not $1.99 consistently forever. Oh no, it's terrible. Crazy Cat Lady in LA said, had a doctor acquaintance tell me that of their patients that are taking GLP-1s, majority are using Lilly Direct.
Well, I mean, I think that's what, if you're a local doctor who doesn't, I mean, who did we interview the other day? One of the
Well,
lady doctors who said,
yeah.
I don't have time to go
They
figure
can't
out.
vet the compounding
Right.
pharmacy. Like they only know that Lilly has created this medicine, and that they can't recommend real doctors, not real doctors, but doctors, even my doctors, like, I can't recommend your compounding pharmacy. I'm not going to prescribe that to you because I don't know them. I don't have time to research them. Some people, maybe you live in Florida and your doctor sends a script to Hallandale, or maybe you live in Texas and your doctor sends a script to Empower, but most places don't have compounding pharmacies like that. So doctors are going to recommend the Lilly Direct vials if you don't have insurance coverage, because that's the cheapest way to go.
And it's an easy, no risk option for the doctor.
Right.
They don't have to worry about.
What's a compound, where did it come from, like all those things. Jude 44, Weight Watchers just today told me it would be $1,000 and up for the meds.
Well, so go to your local doctor, not Weight Watchers, because there's probably other fees. There's membership fees, there's nutrition, there's all kinds of other things that happen. Talk to your local doctor, have them write a prescription to Lilly Direct. It's just like writing it to CVS.
Is he talking about Lilly
Walgreens.
Direct, or is he talking about something else?
This person said, Weight Watchers said the medicine would be $1,000.
Well, Zepbound is, if you don't have insurance.
Well, but don't go through Weight Watchers.
Well, yeah, I mean,
don't go through Weight Watchers. Go to your local doctor, have them write a prescription, send it to Lilly Direct, or you can send it to Novo Care if you want to do Wegovy.
I mean, I get those Weight Watchers
and you don't have to pay for anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Weight Watcher member since 1985, right? It's way before emails, and I get those emails all the time. And they're a telehealth provider. They're trying to be a telehealth provider. There's better ones out there. Yeah. Kirsten.
Well, so Kirsten is going on the Downsized at Sea cruise, right, Kirsten?
She is.
She is. So let's talk about that for a second. The cruise.
We have organized a cruise. We're calling it the Downsized at Sea Cruise, presented by Mochi Health, and it's June 23rd through the 27th out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're going to Bimini and Nassau's 4-night cruise on the Celebrity Reflection. If you want more information about that, you can go to our website at thedownsized.org and click the cruise tab. Okay, so Kirsten is coming on the cruise. She's a travel agent. She lives in Florida, and I saw that she had a thing done, and I saw that you were having some problems, so I hope that you're feeling better. Kirsten, thank you. Why would it be a good idea to attend the Your Weight Matters convention? Okay, so Christopher and I are going to the Your Weight Matters convention. It's at the one in Arlington, Virginia.
That is outside of Washington.
The Obesity Action Coalition.
Yep.
They're having a conference in Arlington, Virginia.
I think this is the 20th year.
July. And it's really a conference for people who are battling the disease of obesity. It's for people that want information about, different topics within the disease of obesity. So Christopher and I are going to check it out, to maybe connect with some people. They've got a lot of fun activities and workouts and parties
and educational
things. Speakers come in.
If you go to their website, you can see the whole agendas there. So see if it's something you're interested in. They'll also have a small sort of trade show floor with various vendors related to obesity. I think about 20 or 30 of them. We're going to probably do a downsized meetup one evening. So, local folks can come meet us and say hello and,
but I think
do that kind of stuff.
And it's not a really expensive conference. I think for Christopher and I to register, it was like $300 for the both of us. So, if you can get to Arlington, Virginia and attend that, we think it's a good idea. Darium told us about it. Yeah. So thanks, Darium.
So our goal was really to get out there, learn more, get more exposure for the channel, meet more people in the industry, hopefully meet some more doctors we can do interviews with.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on for us. that we'll do this conference. And then later in the year, we'll do Obesity Week in Atlanta as well, which is more of a medical B2B show, a little more and a lot more expensive. Probably do a meetup in Atlanta as well. But yeah, if you happen to make it to Arlington, we'll be there. So you should definitely come. Bird Spirit, yes, your medical records should be provided to you through HIPAA, if not directly from the app portal or your telehealth provider. Jaybird, you're absolutely right. I think my fear would be some of these telehealth providers could just close up and be gone, and there would be nobody to chase down.
Well, then she's saying you can get them now. You should be able to
get them now.
Yeah, if you can get them, I would get them. I've printed out lots of things. Ada Gonzalez says, Dave on the pen also wrote about Simaglutide.
Yep.
Including Rybelsus and
Survodutide. She didn't spell it
melt fat off the liver. I'll ask Connie about how it works, and that will help us there's a lot of medicines in trials, right? There's a lot of things coming down the pike. We expect 5 years from now, it'll just be a whole different landscape with these GLP-1s. 10 years from now, I think most of America will be taking a GLP-1 medication. So if people want to get upset about it now, well, they'll just wait and see. Paul Amadeus Lane. Always remember that doctors work for us. Sometimes they get it twisted. I love the fact that they care about our health, but they have to realize we make the final call. Yep. I mean, that is true. If a lot of times, if the doctor tells you something, you're going to be like, oh, well, they're a doctor, maybe. But no, we do need to be informed and have a say in our healthcare. Starium, there are so many educators and obesity advocates who will be there. At the Obesity Action Coalition conference.
Let's see here. Kat C, who's a member, thank you, Kat, says, do they prescribe it for not overweight people who have sleep apnea? Well, so Zepbound has been approved for sleep apnea. So if you have moderate to severe sleep apnea, you have to have done all the tests. You can't just walk in and go, I snore. You have to do all the testing. It has been approved for that. That does not necessarily mean that Medicare or Medicaid or your insurance has already worked it into their formulas, and those all vary state to state, employer to employer. There's a lot of things going on.
Can a skinny person who has sleep apnea, right? So we have a thin friend who has sleep apnea. He thinks he still hasn't done the sleep study. I said, oh, you need the Zepbound, Adam. He's like, I don't need to lose any weight. I'm like, oh, well, but it's for sleep apnea. So that I was kind of wondering.
And it's where I suspect we will begin to see alternate ways to do both dosing and personalized ways to do the shots, or to have, or orforglipron, because if the skinny person has sleep apnea, they may not need, the lowest dose. They might need half the lowest dose or something else. So,
that's a whole nother, YouTube channel. Sleep apnea and GLP-1. That's not our wheelhouse. Nellie Lee says, yes, I wasn't given a choice if I wanted anything added to my tirzepatide, but when I ordered my tirzepatide in May, I called the pharmacy to find out if something was added. I was told B6 was added. I would hope that I would know when I order the medication through my telehealth provider what I'm getting. And if I'm getting something else, then I'm going to be a little bit upset about that, because they can't just switch you randomly. You should have to be able to choose it. But I have heard that happening with some telehealth providers, and people are allergic to things, right? So it can be a problem.
Well, and I don't think compounding ever completely goes away. There will always be the opportunity to have individualized things. The real question is, can they do it at scale? You can walk into pretty much any major city in the country and have something compounded just for you because of whatever. But Empower that's making thousands of doses a day, that's a different question.
Right. So, the law says it has to be personalized it has to be different from the brand name. It has to be personalized to the customer. And what is the definition of personalized, and is it personalized for one person from one doctor? Is it personalized from every doctor to every dose? It's different. I don't know. Weigh it out with Alexis says epic episode. Thanks for always bringing it. Thanks, Alexis. Jaybird Spirit, yay! I can't believe I signed up to go. Oh, yay! I think we've got about 50 people going on the. I think she's talking about the cruise.
Either the cruise or the conference in Arlington. I don't know which one you're talking about.
I think she's on my list of downsized cruisers. So our T-shirts
she
came
says
in today.
I'm nearby. Maybe I can go to the meetup with everyone.
Oh yeah.
Maybe she's in Arlington.
Florida. Yeah. Yeah. We got our T-shirts in today for the downsized cruise. So pretty cool. I can't read that. Barbariba one. I'm so glad I found you two at the beginning of my journey 10 weeks ago. Great, reliable information. I recommend your channel to everyone wanting information on GLP-1. Thank you. Well, thank you for recommending us. We are here. We've got over, I don't know, what, 400 videos?
550.
550 videos, he says. I can't believe he got me to make that many videos. Some of them he made by himself.
Jaybird says she is going to both the cruise and the conference.
Oh, cool. All right. You're my best friend. We'll see you.
So we'll see you a couple of times over the next 2 months.
Yeah. We hope you will like and subscribe to our channel. We hope that if you're watching right now, you have hit the like button, because that just tells YouTube that, people like our shtick here.
3 Left Turn says, how does Orderly work? Any issues or anything we need to know? So I did I did a 5-month Orderly order several months ago. They no longer have a 5-month option. Basically, it was a telehealth. I went online. I never talked to a human being. I sent a picture of myself, filled out a form, had a little chat on their chat bot kind of thing. Took a little while to get set up. It didn't happen I think it took 2 weeks or something with questions and things. Sent a picture of Fat Knee, and eventually
we're not affiliated with Orderly.
We're not affiliated with any telehealth company like that.
We just said
and it was fine. I mean, I've gotten the medication, I've taken the compounded. It was fine. It just seemed like it worked. Michelle Frank.
I have sleep apnea, and my lung doctor asked me if I wanted it. Oh, I told him I was on it, and so far I lost 68 pounds in 5.5 months, and he was so excited. He made me tell all his staff he is due to the bed.
Girl, if he's willing to write you a prescription for sleep apnea, you should try and get your insurance to run it.
Well, of course. Maybe she already has.
Free is the best price, or $25 is the best price.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery. Winning the lotto with the tirzepatide.
Winning the lotto with, let's see here.
Esther Lee, I haven't gotten my Caremark letter. I assume I'm not exempt.
The thing about the Caremark, the PBM letter is it's going to be unique to each company's insurance and how the policies were written and when they can change it. So it wasn't just, they can't just push it out universally. It may or may not come based off of what's your company's policy.
What conference is being discussed? The Obesity Action Coalition Conference, which is in Arlington, Virginia, July 27th-ish or something. If you Google OAC obesity, it'll probably Your Weight Matters Convention, Your Weight Matters Conference.
I'll throw a link in the description.
Yeah, it's July 24th through the 26th, Washington, D.C. It's really in Arlington, Virginia, but they're right there together. So
we're not affiliated with them. We've just
never heard of it until 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And one of our subscribers mentioned it. It's Darium mentioned it. So we checked it out and said, oh, this is something we should go to. This is something we can maybe learn more about the disease of obesity and what's happening there. And maybe we can create some content about what we find out.
And I'm always looking to meet people, to do interviews, talk to doctors, learn things, promote the channel as well. I say, hey, have you subscribed to the Downsized? So that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. DS Kitty, Diane, I've been on Zepbound for 6 weeks. So far, so good. I was so lucky that my insurance covers it for obesity, sleep apnea, and pre-diabetes. Girl, all right. My pre-approval is valid for 1 year. All right, you better be filling that
Thanks for
script
being a
every
member,
28
Diane.
days, like clockwork. Don't miss a month, right? Insurance already covers it for obesity. That's great, Michelle. That's great. I love it when you can get it covered like both ways, right? That's awesome. I'm
All right,
jealous.
there's
Wish you had it.
436 people out there and 381 likes. Thank you very much. If you haven't already hit the like button, please do. It tells the YouTube gods to share this with everybody out there, and we appreciate your support. We try and publish every day. Actually, we have published every day. I think we've only missed one day in the last 6 months. And I didn't want to. It just sort of happened.
Sandy B says, got Zepbound through Lilly Direct from a script from a doctor. Was getting compound from Weight Watchers. I have sleep apnea, but my insurance will not cover it. Bummer. Yep. All right. Kate says, non-scale victory. NSV, my bestie has been watching me on my Zep journey these past 11 weeks, and it has inspired her to talk to her doctor on getting Mounjaro for her type 2 diabetes. She got a prescription, and it's covered by her insurance. Well, that's
awesome.
Great. See, here's the case. Here's a perfect example, Kate. Thank you for saying this. Kate told her friend how well it worked. Kate's friend now is able to benefit from this, life-changing, life-saving medication. So if you feel like you're able to tell people that you're on this GLP-1 journey, I encourage you to do so. If you feel like you can't do that, that's also fine. But you might really help somebody. You might really change somebody's life with this GLP-1 news, right? This GLP-1 medication. So I encourage you to tell people. I encourage you, if you don't want to really talk about it, send them to the Downsized. We've got tons of videos. They can learn all about it. They can come to one of our live shows and ask a question.
And if you're out there and if you have a question, because I get emails you should do a video about. There's 550 videos. Honestly, we end up having to make the same video about
stuff updates, right? We learn
to update things about every 6 months because they kind of get lost in it. But if you go search, the odds are we probably did a video about it. If not, please still send it to me because we're always looking for video ideas.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff out there.
Jacqueline Hatfield, what insurance companies are covering it? Girl, I don't even know.
Well, the challenge
depends
is
on your employer.
Yeah, it depends on your policy and your employer. So
we have insurance through the marketplace in North Carolina, and there's no insurance through the marketplace in North Carolina that covers any weight loss medication. So that's what I know.
If you worked for a large company, that large company made a selection, or even a small company made a selection based off of their insurance needs and their costs. And part of that was whether or not they cover GLP-1s. Now, they may not have even realized it was in there, but part of that is that. So basically, all of the insurance companies could cover it if your employer decided to.
But most of them don't. Call your insurance company is the best way. And I know that's annoying because it takes forever to get a human on the phone there. But really, that's kind of the best way. DS Kitty says, my stepdaughter wants to get weight loss surgery. I'm encouraging her to try Zepbound. Wish me luck. Yeah, so I've done interviews with people who have had weight loss surgery, and they're able to lose, 100 or more pounds. But the problem that they've told me is that after a time, that food noise comes back.
Well, here, just let Barb speak to that.
Barb, health at any cost, says, I had a gastric bypass in 2001, lasted 5 years. Mounjaro is much more effective. So Barb had gastric bypass. I think she gained some of, not all of her weight back. And Barb went on Trulicity and then Mounjaro and went from 405 pounds to 120 pounds over the course of 3 years and has now kept that off. So I would opt for the drug.
You're not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. Talk to your doctor, but
and
you're going to go cut up my stomach and cut me open when I can instead take some.
But it can be a good option for people. And essentially all of the doctors that we have talked to have said the more tools they have in their toolbox, so surgery is one of them, medication is one of them, diet is one of them, exercise is one of them. The more things they have to help you, the better it is.
Right.
So
well, and
it needs to be catered to her personal needs.
Well, and I've seen people do like cost benefit analysis, right? So if your insurance covers weight loss surgery, which ours did, but doesn't cover Mounjaro or Zepbound or Ozempic or Wegovy for weight loss, what's going to be more cost effective? So weight loss surgery might be more cost effective, but if you extrapolate that over the rest of your life and, you possibly gaining that back at some point and starting over again, and then your anatomy is altered. I don't know, Also, if people are over 500 pounds, a gastric bypass and GLP-1 are what usually are done. Okay.
So,
that's good to know.
I mean, make sure she has a good obesity specialist. I put a link on our website, the downsized.org. If you haven't been there, on the resources page, there's a link that you can go search for an obesity certified doctor in your area. Someone who has that much weight to lose really needs to make sure that they have a great physician that's building out a plan for them. This is serious stuff, and you want to get healthy and make sure you're doing it well. There's lots of people here weighing in on the sleeve. Esther J. Lee, who's a member. Thank you, Esther. I work for a life insurance company and get Zepbound for $25 a month. Love my health insurance. Heck yeah.
That's great.
Heck yeah.
Sydney, I appreciate your channel because you helped to educate me on GLP-1s before I talked to my doctor about it and started my journey. Love your interviews and news segments. Reading Ozempic Revolution now. Yeah, so I did a interview with the doctor. Her name is Dr. Alexandra Soa. She wrote a book called Ozempic Revolution. It's not really about Ozempic per se, but Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, all the GLP-1s, and kind of how they work. You can check out my interview with her if you search our channel, and then we have a link to buy her book on our Amazon store. If you would like to look at that, you can go to thedownsized.org. Here's JoJo, and click on the Amazon store, and then it's in there. I've read it. I've listened to it on Spotify.
JoJo.
JoJo says,
Hello,
what are y'all doing?
pay attention to me.
JoJo. So anyway, it's a good one. If you're just starting, it's a good general knowledge book to check out.
While you're at our website, thedownsized.org, sign up for the email list. As we discussed with Lee, and a lot of people chimed in, social media has been shutting down GLP-1 creators left and right, Facebook groups, TikTok, the whole 9 yards. If we have your email address and it's there, we always have a way to get in touch with you, and that's awesome. Honestly, we've sent out 2 emails in the last year, so we're not going to spam you or anything. But it's a great way for us to stay in touch with you. And if we had to host videos somewhere else, host a group, what you name it, we would be able to. So it's very, very good if you do. Let's see. We're going to be about done, I'll tell you. 408 people out here, 395 likes. Hello, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June 4th, and we are the Downsized.
We can start the spiel over again.
I might.
Or two. We got any more questions out there? I can't. I got to put my glasses.
They're saying hello to JoJo.
You seem like you're losing steam. Do you want me to take over the questions?
There's one for
Brochet. Hey, Brochet. Teresa, I got the 3-month 15 milligram vials for $1,300.
I think they're talking about Orderly.
Great deal. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. Kirsten's Memory says, hi, JoJo. Yeah, she has her kitties too. Crazy Cat Lady in LA says, picked up my last fill of Zepbound before 7-1. Caremark cuts me off. She's biting me. But it was 3 months worth. Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, get as much as you can. Like and subscribe. Thanks for all the news, etc. Thanks, Chris. Just subscribed. That's about time, Ada. I think she's been watching for a while. It's JoJo Cornelius. I don't know why I call her JoJo Cornelius. My daughter's named her JoJo after JoJo Siwa. And then I decided her middle name was Cornelius one day randomly. So I think it suits her. She is very regal. Love JoJo. Thank you, Sandy Murphy. JoJo says, bite. I bite you.
Scott
I
Kennison,
bite
who's a member,
you.
says, hi, just check the prices on Orderly and it's no big. I mean, I don't know that there are any great big deals out there right now. It becomes a question of availability as much as the deal anymore.
Mochi, if you join right now, they'll give you a free first month if you sign up for a 3-month membership or a 6-month membership. That's a $79 value. And they have pretty good prices.
This.
If you would like to do an interview with me, I talk to people every week who are on a GLP-1 journey, and I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to do an interview with you out there. Send me an email to Lorraine@thedownsized.org, and I'll send you a link to our calendar. You can pick a time that works for you, and it's just that easy. So I hope you'll sign up for an interview with me, and maybe JoJo will come to your interview and say, what you talking about, ladies or gentlemen?
She loves to be a part of the meetings.
Yes.
All right. I think that's it for us tonight. That's 2 hours.
All right.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Lee Fits In. If you haven't been over to see him on TikTok, make sure you go like his channel on TikTok as well. And we will be back next week to do this, 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, yes, JoJo. Tell me about it.
JoJo says, yes, thank you. Watch out. We got a bunch of new videos coming out here in the next week or so. Lots of cool stuff. And we'll be prepping for the cruise. You'll see some videos live from the cruise, where we will also be announcing a fall meetup tour that should have, that should have us in Arlington or Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia, or Orlando, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, we're going to Las Vegas. Chicago, Illinois. And that's it.
We'll also be hopefully announcing our next Downsized cruise. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can hear about that. This current Downsized cruise, I think the ship is
full,
99.9 sold out. So if you missed it this time or you had a conflict, we hope that we'll catch you on the next one. We're going to try to do maybe a different cruise line, maybe something different for the next one. Just, because we like to do different stuff, right? Grandma Wishbone says, thanks, Downsized. And health at, I was reading that.
Sorry.
And health at any cost. You guys help me so much. You let me know I'm not alone in this. Yeah, I mean, and that's really important, right? Because weight loss can be a lonely journey. And sometimes if you don't want to tell people that you're on a GLP-1, like, who do you talk to? Who do you ask questions to? So we hope that you'll subscribe to our channel, because we've got lots of stuff going on for you here.
Jacqueline says she missed the live show. Yeah, all the live shows are available to watch afterwards on the YouTube channel. If you go to the live section of it, you can do that. Esther J. Lee, New York City. I'll be willing to show you around. I don't know that we're going to do one in the fall. I will tell you it's possible we do one in the spring of 2026, because we're going to cruise out of New Jersey. But I'm always up to go to New York.
I love New York. I used to be a clothing buyer, and I would go to New York every month to shop the market and make buys for my company. So it's one of my favorite places.
It is. Wawa says, Viva Las Vegas. Crazy Cat Lady says, what dates in Vegas states? I'll tell you, I want to go. Here's my plan. I'm putting it out there into the world. I said it in the Club Downsized live yesterday, and Lorraine went, "Ah!" My plan is, because I really want to go see Kelly Clarkson. She's got a residency at Caesar's Palace in Vegas. And as we all know, Kelly Clarkson has famously talked about being on GLP-1s, and she's done very well with them. So I want to go see Kelly Clarkson. I want to do a meetup in Vegas, and I want to get Kelly to do an interview. We're going to make this happen.
Why not? And let's be on our show while we're at it.
Sure. Kelly's going to do it. So that's the plan. I'm putting it out there.
I could sing karaoke with. I could not. That girl can sing anything, and she can sing it better than the original artist. Like, I don't think I've seen her ever sing it worse than the original artist. So
Erica Wisdom says, "Where is Lee's info?" It's Lee Fits In, FITS in, and it's that on everything. I think So you can find him.
He's mostly on TikTok. So we're not TikTokers. We have a TikTok
There's
handle,
only one
but
video on it.
it's just so much time out of my life, right? I'm a Facebook fan, so my kids laugh at me, but
See, Wayne says you can do it. Kelly Clarkson, you watching?
I don't think she's watching, Wayne, but
She
you
might
never
be.
know.
You never know. You
We know
never
Eli
know.
Lilly
Darian
watches
says
our
Kelly
videos.
Clarkson in Vegas. That's amazing.
Yeah, Darian, you'll have to come with us to that.
Yeah, so that's my plan. I'm putting it out there. She hasn't signed off on the plan yet, so you know how that goes.
This man loves to spend some money. Not that I don't also love to spend some money, but yeah, we need more subscribers. We need more views. We need to really become full-time
Anthony says, if you
YouTubers.
guys interview Kelly, I will scream. I will scream like a little girl. I'm telling you right now.
Oh my, that'd be
Yeah. Mhm.
unnerving.
Yeah. Go Kelly.
I didn't know Lee had been on Oprah.
I didn't know
Good
that
Morning
story
America. I didn't
We'll have
even
to have
know
him
that.
back on for a downsized dish. It sounds like.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right.
Yeah.
So we're just rambling, and I'm so tired, and I have to go to the bathroom. So it is. That is exactly it. I am tired.
All right.
2 hours and 9 minutes into it. 343 people out there still watching. 408 likes. I like it when the likes are over the number of people currently watching. Yeah,
well,
so
they've
come and gone. Yeah, they've come and gone.
I
do like that.
Some people, maybe they came on when Lee was talking, and maybe they were coming up, or I don't know. It ebbs and flows. The people that come and go here, right? It ebbs and flows. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Thank you to our Club Downsized members. Check out our website at thedownsized.org. And that's all we got. Tell somebody about a GLP-1. You might save their life. That's my new tagline.
That's right. My name is Christopher Durham. Who are you? We are the Downsized.
Bye, y'all.
See you next time. If I can get it to stop.